Hey, I'm Jonette Cruz, and welcome to Behind the Filter, a digital show that peels back the layers of social media to reveal the raw and unfiltered lives of people. We're about community, authenticity, vulnerability, transparency, and encouragement. Now stay tuned for today's episode. Hello, welcome to Behind the Filter. I'm Jonette Cruz, and today on our episode, we have Miles Mason joining us, aka Dead Silence.
Hey,
Thanks for being a part of my show.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Excited to have you here. Before we get into anything else, I just want to know where did Dead Silence come from?
That's just naturally how I move. I rather let actions speak louder than words. Even when it comes down to performances, I let people know I'd rather let the music talk than I talk, and then I just go right into the music. So yeah, just how I move as a person.
Wow, so that's how you move through music, outside of music, throughout your entire life. Yeah. Okay, I was always wondering about that. I'm like, where? Sometimes you hear names and you're always like, where does that come from? Well, before we get started to the rest of our episode, I just want to say a quick thank you to our sponsor for our episode for today, which is by 8393 Creative. Female-founded and operated 8393 Creative is a digital marketing and creative studio helping small to mid-sized businesses brand and market their companies. 8393 loves to collaborate and support entrepreneurs with eye-catching digital marketing and creative solutions. Their goal is to also help you communicate your message visually by providing innovative, high-quality, cost-effective services. 8393 Creative is also a certified minority and woman-owned business, which I absolutely love myself. I was even like, how did you get that certification? Because I want it. Find details at their website at 8393creative.com, or you can also check out our episode blog post at jonettecruz.com. So thank you for that. We're going to go ahead and get all into your entire life. Right? Is that good? All right. So my question for you is, I know we had kind of briefly talked before, to record this episode, but has music always been a big part of your life? Like, where did that all kind of stem from for you?
Yes, well, music stemmed from when I was 9, and I never forget, had a gray boombox playing Outkast, and something about just the energy of the music that they made. I was like, you know what, I was real drawn to it. I was like, you know what, I bet I can do that. And just gradually over time, when it came down to the process of writing to recording to when I first started mixing to when I tried beats, I just gradually fell in love with the process of making music, of performing music. So, and on top of that, it was a great outlet for me.
Yeah.
Without music, I don't know if there would be any other outlet that would really consume my life in a healthy way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, music is literally life.
Awesome. So, like, you just heard it, and all of a sudden, like, did it just, like, a light bulb went off for you?
Yeah. And that same year, I just got to writing. And I didn't even know what a beat was at the time, an instrumental. I just liked writing lyrics. So anytime I would see some paper, I would grab a pen or a pencil, and I would just get to writing anything that was on my mind.
Really?
Yeah.
Do you have any of those saved from when you were a kid?
Nah, I wish. I used to collect all the papers that I had, and I think I got to like 18. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I didn't know what happened to the binders, but I had so many papers with lyrics. I would put them in binders, and the thing about binders, when you have so much in a binder, you can't close it.
Yeah, so they're all like this.
Yeah, and I had 2 binders that they couldn't close. They just popped right open. Yeah, so I like writing. Yeah.
Well, what did you do with all those then?
They just got lost. They got lost.
Right? Yeah. I used to do some of that as well, just because like dancing and music has always been a part of my background, and so I would start to write songs and stuff for a very short period of time. I was in a girl group, which is another lifetime ago, but I had songs that I wrote, and I couldn't even tell you where those are. No clue.
Understood.
But I knew it was all about boys, though. That's the only thing I remember. Boys and breaking up and, like, stupid stuff like that.
I mean, that's authentic.
But, I mean, yeah.
It's authentic.
Yeah, it made sense for the age, so.
That's good.
So are you originally from Indianapolis?
Yeah, born and raised.
Born and raised here. Okay. How, tell me about your childhood.
So grew up in Castleton. That is northeast of the city. And, yeah, Indian Creek Elementary School, then Craig Middle School. Well, I'm going to replay it back again. Indian Creek, the Skiles Test, then Craig Middle School, Cathedral High School, and I graduated, moved to Orlando, Florida for college. Got my bachelor's in 2 years, moved to New York, came right back for a radio job.
Wow.
Yeah.
You got your bachelor in 2 years?
Oh, yeah. Full Sail University, they offered an accelerated program.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was tough. As soon as we sat down in this big area, the guy, and I never forget, he was like, I want all y'all to look around. And it's just us students who just got there for orientation.
Yeah.
He's like, I want everybody to raise their hands. Everybody raised their hands where I looked around. And he said, expect 70% of y'all to not make it.
Wow.
I was like, dang.
That's a lot.
Yeah, like, okay, first day.
Was he right?
It's that serious. And yeah, he was. And that stayed in my mind throughout the whole time I was there. But it really told me a lot about consistency, discipline, and remaining focused and having goals, staying committed. Yeah,
that's that word. I was just talking about consistency is my word this year. And I just didn't decide that up until just a few weeks ago. And that was just because it was popping up literally everywhere. And in my brain, eventually it was like, this is your word. And I was just talking about it to somebody else 2 days ago. And then you just say it again. So I'm like, just more confirmations that consistency.
Oh, yeah.
So you were in Florida and then you went to New York. You were there for a little bit. What part of New York?
Harlem. Yeah.
Harlem, okay.
145th and St. Nick on the east side. Yeah.
So I'm from Brooklyn. I was originally born in Brooklyn, so I have family in Brooklyn and Queens. But we moved when I was 9. But, you know, I always say, like, a lot of Puerto Ricans, like, we always end up moving to Florida, New York. It was one of the two. So my entire family moved and split ways over there, but I had never gone to Harlem. Or, like, I never even went to New York City. I was always just in Brooklyn or Queens with my family.
Oh, it's nice.
It's crazy.
Nice. It's cool. Yeah, I like it. I like it. I liked it for the main fact that, like, environmentally, as busy as it is, everybody just seemed like they were in their own world. Like, everybody had their own focus point. They're doing what they need to do. It's packed as it is. That's how focused people are. So,
were you focused with music when you were over there?
Oh, yeah. I networked a lot. I took the train to Brooklyn, took the train to Jersey, networked with a good amount of people, even dropped a mixtape that it really kicked off another part of my passion of being involved in hip-hop. So, yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
Awesome. And then you came back to Indy.
Yep. And that was for a radio job that I got.
Okay.
And worked as a promotions assistant.
Oh,
and
same.
And that was cool, too.
Same. Yeah. That's how I started in radio when I moved out here, too.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
It was so funny because it was back when iHeartRadio was Clear Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I didn't know anybody, right? And I had just moved out here. I didn't know anybody. I was just trying to get a job, submitted my resume. Nobody would give me the time of day. By chance, I was at an event. I met somebody who knew somebody who said, I know the promotions director at Clear Channel. And I said, oh, that's funny. I submitted my resume 4 times and never got a call back. Little did you know, 2 days later, I get a call from the promotions director to come in for an interview, all because I met a person that was like, you should hire this person for this job. And that's how I got into radio. So it's so funny how, like, the networking, like, it's all about who you network with, and then who do you know, and meeting the right people at the right time. Because if that wouldn't have never happened, I don't know that wouldn't have started my radio career beforehand.
Exactly. It's crazy how, like, your resume is like your bonus, but it's really about who you know.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, which is wild, but it's true.
Yeah. How long were you working in the radio industry?
I see for about 2 years. For about 2 years. And then after that, I got real involved with education. So I was in education for like a good 6.5 to 7.5 consistent years after radio. And I found myself really being there for the youth. Rotating between being a substitute teacher, hall monitor, teacher, even did an admin role as well, director of operations, and I just really liked being there for the youth, for real, because
awesome.
A lot of them don't really have the safe space emotionally and socially, and it really is different when you provide that space to where it's non-judgmental, and they just naturally want to talk to you. So.
Yeah, and you already have, like, you're very, very involved in terms of, like, mental health and making sure having that mental awareness, especially what I see from, like, the things that you post on social media. And I'm assuming that really transfers over into, like, what you've done, especially with the youth and the things that you're involved in now.
Oh yeah, it's priceless. Some things you really can't buy, and that's why it's so important that people really get in tune with the meaningfulness and the substance and people's character. That's what it really falls down to at the end of the day, especially in regards to the day and age that we live in now, to where so much is fixated on like the physical, the appearance, and instant gratification. But
Right.
what is that person about? What is their story? Who are they made of?
Yeah. No, I love that. And so are you still involved in different areas of education with the youth now? Because I know you said you still do several different things with them.
So now I work with kids that are on, majority of them are on probation, ankle monitors,
Okay.
and a majority of the time the main people that check up on them are probation officers. So it's real tough for them, and a lot of them are considered like bottom of the barrel, depending on the rap sheets and records that they have. So I really like just being there for the fact that I could teach them about education regarding prisons or how the
Yeah.
system works, teaching them about like finance, the music industry, and even down to how to garden and a whole bunch of topics that really don't really get covered in schools.
Yeah.
So, because when it comes down to schools, it's a set curriculum
Yeah.
that teachers have to go by. So, I really like having a free range of just talking about whatever.
That's awesome. I love
Thank you.
that. That's really cool. And so is there like a specific age range that you gear towards when it comes to that? Because obviously, well, it just depends, I
Yeah.
guess, when you're a juvenile.
I would say majority of them are like 14 to 17.
Okay.
Yeah. The previous schools that I've been at, majority of that were middle schoolers. Yeah. Though I have worked with high schoolers and elementary as well.
Has anything, when you've gone and mentored them or spent any time with any one of them, do any of them share anything that like surprises you or like takes you aback in terms of like how they've grown up or the things that they have seen or they've had to deal with or anything like that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Some things definitely surprised me, and I would say it's from a perspective of like just realizing at face value how down bad some of these kids really are.
Yeah.
And another thing that I have is, I'm at a place in my life to where I can recognize from the conversations that I have from adults to kids to teenagers, we have way too many adults that aren't providing a non-judgmental space and not being there for the kids. When I have these talks with the kids, so many of them have a lack of guidance. So it's like I'm in between two extremes, and I just really see things for what it is. So it's interesting to pick apart and see where people are
Yeah.
and where society is socially.
That's crazy because it's also like I feel like sometimes people I think get caught up in like their own lives and like their own like
Oh
bubble.
yeah,
And so if they don't go outside that bubble, then it's kind of like a culture shock that they're like, I
yeah,
can't believe this person
yeah,
is either like acting this way, doing this, or has done that, or comes from this, or acts the way or talks the way they are, but they don't realize like they're a product of their environment. They don't
exactly.
know anything else, and you have to see outside of like what that small bubble that you might be living in,
Yeah,
what that looks like.
yeah, and that's the most unique thing about it because when you provide that non-judgmental safe space for the youth, they will literally open up to you and let you know, hey, this is how I was raised. This is what my mom, my dad, uncle, aunts, my grandparents. This is what they exposed me to, and then you can literally see like the byproduct of that.
Yeah.
And it's like, dang, this kid really can't help it. The brain's still developing, so sometimes it's tough, and at the same time, I've been so used to it to the point where not a lot surprises me, but I'm able to point them into the direction of, hey, this is how you can get past this, or hey, you may have to accept this for some time being, play the long game, but this is how you play the long game, this and that. So you just got to be there for them.
Have you ever been or like seen a kid through in terms of like maybe you mentored them for a little while and then they finally started to make some changes and they're in a different space right now and you're still in contact with them? Like, if that happens, like, how is that to see that?
Oh yeah, it's priceless. It's one of the best feelings. I just got a word about a student. He's been through a lot, but I got a word that he graduated high school, and it was one of the greatest feelings for me to see him develop because I saw him when he was throwing temper tantrums and didn't know how to respond instead of react.
Yeah.
Not knowing how to slow his brain down, and I was like, he's matured, he's learned, he's good, he's consistent, knows his direction that he wants to go at in life. So it's one of the greatest feelings ever.
That's awesome.
Like yeah, you got it.
I love that. I can kind of resonate with like those kids and like they're a product of their environment because that's kind of how I grew up. Like I had a hard childhood and all I knew was what I knew.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then when I met people that were not like me and then they would look at me weird and question me and I'd be like, what? Doesn't everybody do this? Doesn't everybody kind of act this way? And then I started realizing like, oh, holy crap, no.
Yeah.
Like, maybe I am acting a little crazy, or maybe I shouldn't be doing what I'm doing right now, or those kind of things. But again, you don't know until you're exposed to it, or until someone's like, hey, there's other ways to live besides how you're living. And it's at that point when you can be like, okay, I'm going to take it for face value, and I'm going to change my ways, or I'm going to go ahead and sit in it for the rest of my life. And so that, you really have two options. They're two hard roads, though, both of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, sure. And that's why it's important for the kids to know, especially in this day and age of instant gratification and the microwave lifestyle, don't treat it like a microwave, but treat life like an oven. It's going to take time. It's going to take some consistency. It's all about the quality. So, be patient with the process.
Right.
And I kind of live by this quote, trust the process and respect the progress. And I always keep that installed in my brain.
I love that. Yeah, because sometimes you're so in it, you don't necessarily see what's happening while you're going through that journey.
Exactly.
And you kind of get clouded a little bit until you decide to take a look back, and then you're like, oh, okay. Yeah. I kind of moved through that good.
Yeah, that's why self-reflecting is so important.
Yeah.
Regardless where you're at in life.
Yeah, I love that. So I know you mentioned like you started to have like this love for music when you were 9 and that's all you focused on because you didn't want to focus on other things. Were you in a position where things could have gone differently for you? If like, did you have like a harder childhood or was it just that the environment you were around? Like, tell me about some of that.
I can't say that I had a hard childhood. I can't say that. My parents were there. If anything, I wasn't comfortable with my emotions. I wasn't familiar and didn't know how to define not having a safe space regarding my emotions. And that's particularly how my creativity stemmed from my mind to being on paper. I wasn't comfortable with being vocal about that.
Gotcha.
Being vocal about my heart, my mind,
I think a lot of kids are like that. I feel like I was like that too.
Yeah, and it kind of the catch is, when you, well, I'm just talking about me and my childhood, finding something that I liked and saying, I will take this blank canvas and then I will put my creativity here. And that really was a huge blessing. And that's really like the huge cheat code for kids. What can you find that's healthy for you that you can just put everything out for, whether this be, it could be sports or it could be culinary arts or it could be choreography or people don't have to be like back then it was stereotyped that doctors, firefighters, lawyers. There's so many things that people could be now, and the fact that we're in the age of information, just gotta look it up.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
And even if you don't have internet, try to find different resources and go outside more and be exposed to what's really out there. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Just gotta network.
When you got back here and then you did the radio thing and then obviously you were still doing education and all of that, and then how did you start to grow a little bit in terms of like your music career and then networking? Because I see, like I sometimes when I looked you up and stuff at the beginning when we first connected, I was seeing like you have a lot of credits to people using your music. So that must be like super exciting for you.
It's great. I would say there was a lot of growth and much respect to the radio. When I was a promotions assistant, it really gave me motivation to just get myself out there. And rest in peace, Jerry Wade. He was one of the first people that called me superstar, and that really put like a battery in my back as far as like get yourself out there, network more, market, just just be exposed to more people, more things, more opportunities, and don't be afraid to just throw yourself out there. True, you may not know what could happen, but at the same time, you miss all the shots that you don't take. So why not do things that you like?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I definitely grew regarding networking, marketing, and just being confident with putting myself out there. Yeah.
Awesome. So now you have a new album out,
Yeah.
new song.
Yeah.
Tell me about that song. Like where does Dead Silence's creative juices flow from? Like does it sometimes, because I know sometimes people when they're in a creative mode, like it's all of a sudden, like for me, it comes out of nowhere and then like I gotta focus. I like get super hyper focused and I take everything out of the equation of whatever I'm doing because I'm like in this mode.
Yeah.
And then sometimes like I'll start on something and then I'll just all of a sudden stop because I'm like, what just happened? Like I was so focused, like what happened?
Yeah.
And so I just don't know if like other creatives, if that's kind of the process that you go to as well.
So it definitely depends. I have different types of styles. So one is exactly that. So sometimes an idea will pop up in my head, and the first thing I do, I either put it in my phone, my note section, or I write it down on a piece
That's
of paper.
what I do. I'm like, do your notes not make any sense? Because mine don't.
Yeah. This thing, they're 2/3 of my phone. I got like over 80 different types of notes on my phone that are
and they'll say like one word, and I go back and I'm like, what was that for?
You're like red, blue, fish, elephant, spear, and I'm like, whoa. But yeah, so especially when it comes down to music, because I've been involved in so many things creatively. So music, battle rap, production, movie scores, poetry, and anytime like something would pop up in my head, I would just write it down. Like I have to get it out of my mind.
Yeah.
If not, I won't be able to sleep. And sometimes I lock in for like a good 30 minutes, and I'm like, let me get this song out, or let me get this verse out, this hook. And sometimes I would split things up by the idea. So one idea, I could be like, okay, I want to put this on this part of the song, and then a couple of days later, okay, I want to put this part of the song, something I just thought of. So sometimes I would break it up into days, and then to pace myself creatively. And sometimes I just knock it out all at one time as soon as the idea pops up. Because when I get an idea, how I function creatively is that the idea branches out into different other ideas.
Yeah.
And now I'm more in the zone, turning. Like, now I'm flowing. Sometimes an idea stems and it goes to another idea, and then it's like brain fart.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, time to take a break. Yeah.
Yep, that's what happens to me too.
Yep. So, you talked about the new song, Vanilla Bean. So,
which is our intro and outro song for our show, and I'm super excited about it because I love the beat. It's just so.
Thank you.
It's just the vibe of it. It's perfect. I love it.
Thank you. I'm glad you like it. And Vanilla Bean. Like you said, the album Dead Silence Through the Fire. So it's THRUTHEFIRE. Dead Silence Through the Fire. That's available everywhere, and I organized that project in a way to where it's different styles that branch across like different tempos.
Okay.
And it's smooth. So as soon as you press play, 9 tracks later, you're going to be like, oh, wait, I didn't have to press pause. Because I organized it by the tempo with different styles and different melodies. So once you press play, it's just a smoother coast. Down the whole project.
So it's one you just press play and keep going about your day and let it go.
Yeah. And it really, keeps you in tune because it goes from R&B, then it goes to West Coast, then it goes to mainstream up tempo, then it goes down to meaningfulness, and then it gets down to like the real deep parts of my life.
Yeah.
So it's never like copy and paste. It's all different ranges.
Is there one song in particular that like is super, super meaningful, or like just reminds you of just something you've gone through, or something that just hits a little different for you out of the rest?
I would say, well, I
You're like,
have
gosh,
two.
I like them all.
Yeah, it's well, I have three.
Oh,
First, I'm
okay.
like two, and then three.
Let's talk about those. Yeah.
Okay, so I would say my first one is Pearly Gates, and Pearly Gates was one of the I had five low points in my life, real deep low points in my life, and that was about one of my friends, Eugene Vincent, and he passed away, and that was a real tragic incident that happened. And at this time, I was fighting a case as well, just about to fight a case because I was going through some things. So it really hit me real deep. We were in the middle of collabing. I just finished my part, and I sent it to him. Usually, when it comes down to communication, he's like,
Yeah.
as soon as he gets it, he responds back. And it had been a good 3 to 4 days. And yeah, I just didn't know. And I never forget being in my apartment off of Michigan and Kessler. And I was chilling, and I got the call. And
Oh my gosh.
yeah, that really hit different.
Yeah.
Thought we were going to do the song, and thought he was just cool, needed some time, vacation, and yeah, that was like a shot to the chest. Yeah. So
I'm so sorry to hear that.
yeah, and that's where Pearly Gates came from. So yeah, that one was about him.
Yeah.
Vince Session, Part 2. I had another low point in my life. I had two people pass away back to back, and I was recovering mentally from a huge tragedy that I've been through, and it got to the point where I'm like, hey, I just got to release it, and I let it all out. Just let it all out. And the last one, Been Through Hell, I really like that record because it was more so of taking myself to church. So it was like me being vulnerable with myself, making it sound cool, had some great harmonies and melodies, so it's uplifting, but it's real meaningful. So that was just like getting things off of my chest, but from like a self-reflection standpoint.
Yeah.
So, yeah. 3 of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Those must have been like super, I would say like emotional, but like therapeutic at the same time to process all of that, and then like go in terms of like being the artist and executing it at the same time while you're being creative. I can't imagine the both, because I've gone through some crap in my life as well, but I've never been to a space where I've used that. Well, I've done it in different ways, but not specifically in that way when like you actually have to perform it. Yeah, and it probably takes a lot of different types of emotion, and for you to kind of overcome some of that stuff.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's definitely true. Shout out to Faisal. Did a performance for him, and I did one of the Deep Records, and at the end of Vince Session 2, when I got done performing it, I blacked out a little bit. But that was just all the emotion that I performed with, and that was the first time that I did perform Vince Session Part 2, so it really hit different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sure it did. Now that I think about it, there was this one only time that I was in a spoken word video, and I was with a really good friend of mine, and I was playing somebody who was addicted to pills, and I was at a very low point in my life, and I was basically just about to commit suicide. And he knows a lot about my story. And we were recording it, and so everything was in slow motion, so he pulled me aside. He's like, "You're not there yet." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And he was like, "I need you deep now." And so he started, because he knows my story, he started yelling all the things that have happened to me. And he got it out of me, to so much to the point that we got what we needed, but I had a panic attack right after.
Yeah.
Because it was just so raw and deep. And so that was the one time. It took me like 3 days to get out of that. Because then I had to process. Because I wanted to call him every name in the book that day. But we got what we needed, and it came out great because that's what we needed, emotionally. But I didn't want to go through all of that just to get it, and then recovering from panic attacks are never easy. So I can't imagine then to have like 3 songs that were all super meaningful, really mean something, and like hit super hard too, all at the same time, and then having to do all of that. So that's crazy.
Yeah, it's important for people to process because it's so easy to just go through things and like skim through it or say, it is what it is. But another thing I go by is everybody has their own story. Everybody has a story that makes them who they are today, and it's best for people to just take the time out and to realize like how that affects them.
Yeah.
Because if we don't take that time, eventually that just builds up. Mm-hmm. Even if people bury it, until people accept it, it builds up, and whatever we don't accept just revolves into another trauma.
Absolutely. Is that how you have dealt with some of those blows in your life? Is just having to just let yourself move through everything?
Yeah, and that's another reason why I really like Dead Silence is because I wouldn't be where I'm at if I wasn't dead silent. And when I have been dead silent, when I've been at the lowest lows of my life, regardless of how bad it felt to process it, I knew that it was worth it. Because if I didn't sit and take the time to process it, then I would react, and then I would eventually do something that I would regret.
Right.
So that's just a part of the journey. You got to sit through it, and you got to go through it, not around it, but
right.
Just face it, face those emotions. Don't let it define you, but face those emotions.
Did you have certain people in your life or other things besides you sitting in that emotion? Because I've done that as well, where I've just let myself allow the space. Because I think that's the first thing. Like, we get so busy that we think like busy equals like we'll go. It eventually just goes away, and it doesn't. It festers, and then it comes out really bad. And then I have finally learned, like, I gotta sit. I have to be still. I have to let myself feel all the crap and feel all the bad things. But for a long time, I didn't have people that I felt like I could trust and confide in. And so that was a really big step for me. Did you have people, or do you have people like that around you in your life?
Now, definitely, yes. I will admit I had people back then, but I recognized that I developed trust issues. And
Same.
I didn't know how to confront my trust issues within myself. And that wasn't until later on to where I developed the skill to say, okay, this is how I approach myself from within.
Yeah.
Before I developed that skill, I would get that piece of paper and that pen and that pencil and just write.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's good. I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how, with everything that you have gone through, because obviously like that album came out, and so you still have those deep moments where you're still performing, and I see you seem like you've been super busy lately.
Oh my goodness, tell me about it.
Like every time I see him on social media, he's like, I'm performing here,
yeah.
I'm here. I'm like, geez.
Ooh, yeah. My goodness, I don't recall the last weekend that I've had to where I've done nothing. It's definitely coming soon.
Yeah.
So it kind of ties back into when you said, that business can sometimes overshadow when we really want to face something deep down inside. So, right now I'm definitely in the middle of a lot, but I like it. It's, it's my passion. I genuinely love the process of creating music.
Yeah.
Now I'm at the standpoint where okay, I gotta relax, I gotta chill.
Yeah.
So I definitely can't wait till my vacation coming up. So that's coming up soon.
Oh, where you going? Are you going anywhere, or staycation?
Oregon.
Oregon.
Yep. So new nature, new air. I'm an outdoorsy type of person. So.
Really?
Oh yeah.
So you like to camp?
Nah, I don't know about the camping.
Oh, I was gonna say I cannot you will not catch me.
Oh, no.
Even if it's glamping, it's still camping. No.
Yeah.
No.
Now,
that's negative.
A good hike, I don't mind a good hike, but during the day, cool. During the night,
no.
No. But I definitely like being involved in like gardening and growing herbs, veggies. I like that.
Wait, do you have your own garden?
Yeah. So family helped me out every
That's
now.
awesome.
Yeah, I love it. Every now
Really?
and then, my mom waters it too.
Somebody told me it feels like it's like therapy for them.
Oh yeah, that's the first thing I do as soon as I clock out of work. I go right to the garden and I just sit. Sometimes I sit in the back and sometimes I sit like right in the middle of it because when things are freshly sprouting, you can smell all the scents
Okay.
from everything growing.
Uh-huh.
So oh yeah.
Okay, so you're going on vacation to Oregon. You're going to be hiking, but you're not going to be camping.
Oh
But
yeah.
you'll do some daytime hikes.
Yeah, I definitely limit myself as far as how far I can take things with Mother Nature. So I don't want to be face to face with like a coyote or a wolf or something,
Right.
which I had before, but that's a different story.
Oh my gosh.
When I was out in Arizona,
Uh-huh.
one vacation, I was going to a mall and a fence blocked off the left side, and I never forget looking to the left side of the fence, and it was either a wolf or a coyote. It was looking dead at me. I was like,
Oh my gosh, I could
okay.
not.
Yeah, glad that fence is there. Yeah, so I love Mother Nature, but
Yeah.
I have limits. Yeah.
Do you do solo trips or do you go like to meet friends or family? I've never done a solo trip, so that's what I was wondering. Yeah?
Oh yeah, I've done solo trips. The one for Oregon, that's going to be for family. So my cousin's out there, and it's going to be my first time visiting him where he's at. So,
Nice.
yeah.
Okay.
It's going smooth. Yeah.
I've never been to Oregon before. It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I did some research about it, and they got like a whole bunch of I think it's called nature reserves, parks, things of that nature. So, oh yeah.
So I'm sure you're looking forward to that. You get some time to yourself after the craziness of music and all of that.
Oh yeah, and even the weekend before then, I'm taking that time to actually have a full weekend to myself, to where I can just finally chill.
Yeah, for sure. When you come back, like I know obviously you have this album that you just dropped and you're promoting and performing and all of that. Is there anything like new that you're starting to work on or in the works or like things that you're looking forward to doing?
Yeah, so Treese, I will be back to battle rapping, but it'll be my last battle rap, so
Okay.
calling it a close. But yeah,
Why are you calling it a close?
because it's an energy type of thing. It's
Yeah.
a lot of energy that gets put into battle rap. So I'm the type, I'm breaking things down. I'm breaking my opponent down lyrically. I'm breaking my performance down physically. Certain parts, I enunciate the lyrics more than others, and even certain bars that I like physically demonstrate more than others as well. So I break things down to the T, like to the creative cell. And
That's awesome.
yeah, that's just
But that's a lot.
Oh,
a lot of work.
Yeah, because I have to write it, then I have to memorize it, then I have to physically memorize it, mentally, emotionally. Some parts, there's more emphasis than others. So, it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. But that's just me.
Yeah, but I don't think people even realize that, like, even when you do something like that, like, how many processes there are from, beginning until you actually do it.
Oh, yeah. And that goes with music, too.
Yeah.
The main difference is music, I break down the melodies, harmonies, pitches, and tones that I think of when I hear the beat. I'm thinking of how I can complement the beat instead of fitting in with the beat.
Gotcha.
So then I think of what to say. Then I think of how to say it. Then I'm thinking of things from an audience perspective on top of what's authentic for me, meaning those two middle grounds. So it's social, it's mental, it's creative. Yeah, it's
so many different pieces to it.
Yeah.
Do you play any instruments?
I used to play the trumpet 8 years.
8 years you used to play the trumpet?
Yeah.
Really? I can't imagine you playing the trumpet. I just can't. Like, I'm just trying to have a visual right now, and I just can't.
Yep.
You're going to have to, send me a photo of you playing or video of you playing the trumpet.
I got it. It's still, I'll take a picture of it as soon as I'm out of here.
Have you ever added that in music?
No, I haven't. But I do have a record out, so it's called Dead Silence Close to Me. And that's one of the records to where I'm utilizing my voice in a singing way, but I'm not doing too much singing.
Yeah.
But it's smooth. So like a 90s type of vibe to it.
Gotcha.
And I eventually want to remix this record by putting somebody that plays piano on there, on the back end, and a new singer. But it'll be my first time using like an actual instrument on something that I record. So
That's awesome. I've always wanted to learn how to play an instrument. We make our son take piano lessons. He's
nice.
played piano since he was 6, and he's 14 now, and he hates to practice, but he's so good at it. And I'm always
Same for
like,
me.
and I'm always like, it's because mommy wanted to play the piano. I need you to do it now, okay? Because I'm just not going to learn now. I mean, I could if I wanted to, but I'm not going to do it. So
You definitely
just make
understood.
my kid do it for me. Live vicariously through him. So there you go.
And it unlocks a different part of your brain because, it kind of falls in line with what I said creatively earlier, but it teaches you how to get into like a repetitive motion. It teaches you about consistency. It teaches you about memorization. It teaches you how to break down certain notes, what certain notes sound like when they're at certain spaces and lines. So it's kind of like subconscious music theory.
Yeah, that's true.
And you don't realize that until later on, and it's
Right.
like, oh wait, it's really teaching me how to think at a different type of level.
That's true. Now, do you, because I know everybody does this too, like people who are creative or have a creative process, is there something that you like more than the other? Like some people, they like being in it, right? Or some people like the whole execution and the performance part, or some of them like kind of like the more the teacher role. Like, is there something that you like more than the other while you're creating something?
Good question. Okay. I would say I like it all.
Yeah?
Yeah. I like it because you from a teaching perspective, I'm breaking things down in a way to where like it's unlocking certain parts in people's brains.
Yeah.
Sometimes parts that haven't been used before, and teaching different perspectives. And in regards to like being involved in it, being in it, creating, I like it. Good amount of times I'm going over beats for a good 250 to 350 times. And that's just finding out what to say, how to say it, pitches, melodies, singing, all that. And when it comes to performing, which after so many years, I finally found my performing style this year.
Really?
Yeah.
So it took you this entire time to
Yeah.
finally figure it out. See, and that's what people don't realize is like it takes such a long time to finally either like be in that groove or be in that moment where you're like, okay, I'm here. Like I've arrived in this season, you know?
Yeah. And it's interesting because I used to think performing was just performing like, okay, you go up on stage and you just perform the music that you like and cool. But there's certain performance styles that you can go about. So you got the chill performer, you got the animated performer, you got the performer that's in between. And for me, I found this pocket to where I can differentiate between the type of song that I do and how to perform that, depending on the type of song that gets performed. So it didn't hit me until literally my second to last performance. I'm like, I finally found it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
that must have been a good feeling though, to be like, okay, this feels good.
Yeah. It's perfect, and you'll get to a certain point where you learn and you execute. You're consistent. You're a student of life. You get so much information, and then you put it out there that eventually people will be speaking for you.
Right.
Like, hey, yo, you did that, man.
Yeah.
That one track that you did, oh, man, you left it all out on stage. And I'm like, I appreciate that. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
It speaks for
It's
itself.
a good feeling when people recognize the work that you have put in to an art. Then you're like, oh my gosh, you recognize me.
Yeah.
I'm seen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm happy.
It feels great. It feels great. There's nothing like it.
All right. I want to close with asking 2 questions for you. Okay. So one is, what would you tell somebody who wants to be, well, I would say this would be a 2-part question.
Okay. Go ahead.
So let's go the music route first. What would you tell somebody who, has that creative mindset, has those aspirations in terms of wanting to utilize their gifts creatively and wanting to kind of go in the same road that you went on? Do you have anything to tell them about like either, what they should focus on, or any words of advice?
I would say find you a mentor that you can trust. Learn how to think for yourself in healthy ways, And I would say network. Networking is so vital, and this is regardless if it, any type of field that you're involved in as an entrepreneur, whether you have the job things on the side. When it comes down to things that you like to do, you have to network. So many things are about relations. Whether it be the gigs that you get booked for, whether it be new opportunities or somebody wants to book you in the city that you're in, outside the state. It's all about relations. So definitely network. And depending on who you come across when you network, you're going to find a couple of people, if not a good amount of people that are willing to communicate with you. Hey, these are some different things that you should be open-minded regarding. So I came across somebody, he told me straight up, hey, as great as you are, work on your performance a little bit. And I was like, okay, cool. That was a great nugget, a good gem that he just dropped.
Yeah.
And that was a good 2.5 years ago. And 2.5 years later, people are complimenting me about my performance.
That's awesome.
So,
and that's good that you took it as constructive criticism, and you're like, okay, cool. Like he notices I'm good, but also can see that I can improve in this area.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm not going to be like upset about it.
And that's another great thing too. Anything creative that you do, culinary or sports or dancing, music, when people give you, I won't even say constructive criticism, but when people give you advice, don't take it personal. Just listen.
Yeah.
We're so quick to revolve our whole life around like our pride and ego that when people go against that, it's the automatic thing that we internalize instead of you taking it as, I should really take that into account.
Yeah.
Because when you self-reflect about some of the things that people say, you'll realize that, they're really looking out for me. And I'm not really,
That's really good.
self-reflecting. So, yeah, don't take a lot of things personal.
Yeah.
Just listen.
So the second part of that question, in terms, because you're such a great advocate in terms of for mental health, what are maybe just like either 1, 2, or 3 things that you would always want people to think about when it comes to their mental health?
Get it out your mind. Get it out your mind. Get it out your heart in healthy ways. There's so many different ways on how people can cope. A lot of things come down with how you cope. Because there's so many things that can happen to you that's outside of your control. So find healthy ways to cope.
Yeah.
Life is going to life sometimes. You're
Right.
going to go through some things sometimes. Some things you can't control, but how do you cope with that? People have to ask themselves that when they experience like the lows of their life, to when they feel like they don't have a safe space, to when they feel like they're at the bottom of the barrel. A lot of things come down to you telling yourself, okay, what do I do now?
Yeah.
So find healthy ways to cope. Find healthy ways to, I wouldn't say find healthy ways. Think for yourself in healthy ways. That really matters. So I would really press that upon people to do.
That's awesome. Good. Okay. So now on the musical side, what is next for Dead Silence for the fall and for upcoming and for, what you got cooking? Anything cooking?
So
after your vacation, after you relax and,
So, shout out to Dominic Dorsey. So there's a big event at Flana House. I'll be hosting a Cypher. And this will be August 3rd. People can pull up around, I think it's 11 to 12. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I know the Cypher section is going to start around 1:15-ish. And it's bringing back that 90s raw, authentic hip-hop vibes.
Okay.
And it'll be, that event is like block party vibes as well. So
Fun.
yeah, that'll be real great. And then Treese is going to be late August. That's when I'll be battle rapping. So that's definitely going to be cool. I'm in a whole different type of element. I'm a whole 180 outside of where I am now.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I can't imagine this version of you battle rapping. Like it
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
has to be another
Yeah.
personality that comes out of you for that to happen.
Oh, yeah. So you're definitely right. And it's so, I gotta say that's the most interesting thing about it. A lot of people are so used to, this side of me that when I go up on stage, I think that's what makes it so classic, is that they're like, whoa.
Are they like taken aback, like, wait?
Oh, yeah, like,
seriously?
where's the chill do that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because I'm tapping into different pockets within myself so that I can enunciate and say certain things the way that they should be said. And, oh, yeah, I like it.
That's
like
awesome.
That. And, I would just say be more in tune with August. That's definitely a busy month for me, whether it be I'm hosting, whether it be music, whether it be battle rap. So, yeah, definitely August.
Well, we'll make sure to share all that information when it starts to come out so we can keep up on all your performances, especially the whole battle rapping. I want details. I may have to pull up on that one.
I got
Just
you.
to be like, that's not the same person.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Scratch the tape.
Seriously. Well, thanks for coming and doing this episode. I so appreciate our conversation.
Thank
you. It was
you.
awesome. I loved getting to know, like, just who you are as a human being and your music and your background and all of that. It was fantastic.
Thank you. It's truly a pleasure. And thank you for the great transitions, for real. Smooth vibes. So
you got it.
I appreciate
all
that.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us on this week's episode of Behind the Filter. And also special thanks once again to our sponsor, 8393 Creative, which is a digital marketing and creative studio helping small to mid-sized businesses brand and market their companies. You can connect with them at 8393creative.com. For more details on past episodes and more, you can always check us out at johnedcruz.com. Also on YouTube, Spotify, Anchor.fm, and of course, don't forget to follow us on all social media platforms.